Hi, Toby Barnett with Keller Williams North Sound and the Barnett Associates Team to talk to you today about the residential purchase and sale agreement. Now, in the two previous videos, I got ahead of myself when talking about the septic addendum and the feasibility addendum. So today I wanted to take it back to the beginning and discuss the residential purchase and sale agreement. Now, here in Washington State, it's commonplace for people to either hire a real estate broker or hire a real estate attorney to draft a contract for the transfer of real property. Now, in my case, I used the Northwest MLS approved forms to draft contracts for either sellers and buyers for the transfer of that real property. So what is the residential purchase and sale agreement? You know, I get a lot of questions about offers, bids, what does this all mean? Can anybody write a contract? And the simple question is, yes, anybody can write a contract. The other part of that is not everybody has access to the Northwest MLS forms. So please don't ask me in the comments below if I can email them to you, because I won't do that. So you could hire me and I'll be more willing to help you. But so with the statewide forms, what we are allowed to do as real estate brokers is draft contract terms that are agreeable between a buyer and a seller for that transfer of real property. So what is in the purchase and sale, agreement? So first and foremost, it's a purchase contract. And in that purchase contract, it details all the terms that a buyer and the seller are agreeing to for that transfer. Now, these details, if you've never purchased or sold property before, you may not be familiar with it, and our forms always change, as new things and our industry evolves. So what are some of the things that you can find in the residential purchase and sale agreement? Well, contract date, buyer and seller names, legal names, how the buyers plan to take title, also earnest money, purchase price, title and escrow companies. Also, if FERPA is required, it's tax withholding, which I won't get into right now, but get into that later. But also agency disclosure, which agent, either the selling agent or the listing agent, who do they represent? And also, does that agent represent both parties, which we call dual agency? It also details, your closing date in possession, as well as any addenda that are attached to this purchase and sale contract. An example would be the septic and the feasibility addendum that I discussed in previous videos. But other addenda can include your financing, home inspection, promissory notes, and a whole other title addendums, short sale addendum, and any other specifics that may pertain to that individual property. And it's also important to note, not every contract is going to be the exact same. If you purchased a house before and you're looking to purchase a piece of land, your contract's going to look a lot different than it did before. So the residential, and for this sake, we're just focusing on the residential purchase and sale, not the vacant land, not a manufactured home, just the residential. So another thing in that, with the residential purchase and sale agreement, it's binding and enforceable. So if anybody wants to back out of this contract, then the other party can enforce that contract and hire an attorney and take them to court. So it's not, the residential purchase and sale agreement's not something you enter in lightly. But however, there's a lot of protections in there for either the buyer or the seller that either can terminate the contract or help that contract move forward, between all parties. So if you have any questions about some more specifics, well, before I get into that, let's just take a little brief look at one. So on page 1 of the residential purchase and sale agreement, it details it outlines all the details that were discussed. Buyer, date, purchase price, earnest money, what happens if the default of the contract, we call it breach, who the closing agent, closing dates, and possession. Your next 4 pages are all definitions. So if you need more clarification and what we agents commonly refer back to when explaining and detailing or answering questions to our clients, we refer to those 4 pages as well. So in your residential purchase and sale agreement, on your atypical house, just your atypical residential home, you'll encounter the Northwest MLS Form 21 Residential Purchase Sale Agreement. Now, throughout, since I've been in business, it's changed quite a bit. In the bank-owned realm and short sales, sometimes you encounter sellers that have their own purchase and sale agreement or use a combination of both. I know when working with bank-owned properties, you will write a purchase and sale on our Northwest MLS proof forms, and then the seller, i.e. a bank, will then send you their contract, and then we move forward with that. In the case of new construction, I've seen where builders have their own standalone forms, or they use a combination of Northwest MLS approved forms and their own. So just so you know, a lot of variations can happen within a residential purchase and sale agreement, but commonplace is the standard Northwest MLS approved forms. But anyways, so that, I know this is kind of a boring look at what a contract starts to look like and what a purchase is, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions of more specifics of what's on a contract and how we use them to help buyers and sellers transfer real property. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one when we start going through some other more specifics. Thanks, have a great day.